Alright, hey guys, what's up? It is Archers here, bringing you guys a video on my channel, sort of like a tutorial. A lot of people have been asking, like, how I do, like, my styles. Here, I'll show you guys. A lot of people ask, like, how I do these types of 2D styles, especially these two and, this one. A lot of people like those. And then I just have other people asking, like, on my old portfolio, I had, like, some nature styles that I did. And a lot of people were wondering how I did those. And, really, there isn't really no easy way to explain it, and it's sort of hard to just type it over the computer, so I thought I'd make a tutorial on it. So basically, it really all comes down to like packs. I like to use this pack the most, just because it has like a lot of stuff in it. Usually I use this pack for most of my work, just because I really like the stuff that's in it, and it really fits with the style that I like to do, especially when I'm doing more of that other stuff that I showed. But it really depends on your style and personal preference. I mean, I can't really tell you what exactly you should do, because I mean, it's the way that I like it, and obviously not everyone's gonna have the same taste in design or how it looks. But just for tutorial sake, I'm just gonna quickly go through step by step on how I usually make it, just so everyone gets an idea on how I make it. I'm really not the best at designing, so uh, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, I may be doing it the wrong way, or I may not be doing it the efficient way, but it worked for me, so yeah, that's about it. So usually what I do is I start with top lighting. This is actually really going to help you, so I'd suggest starting with a top light. Don't make it super bright, lower it down to about, I don't know, 20, 32 looks good. Around the 30, between 20 and 30, around there is a good place to have your lighting. You don't really have it too high, because then it just sort of ruins the feel of it. Um, and then especially when you're doing this type of stuff, a lot of it can get pretty bright, so you don't want to have the top light too bright. But really all this style it's just layering textures and stuff. That's usually what I do with it, is I just layer a lot of textures and stuff. But to get that little picture box that I have in the back, uh, actually I think I'll do a circle this time, just because it looks nice. But I usually start with like a circle shape, try to put it in the middle as best as I can. I have my lines here, and then what you want to do is you just want to fill in the circle. Doesn't matter what color it's with. Um, White is probably the best color to go with. And then I just lower the opacity, or actually no, you can keep it up. Don't lower the opacity. Keep the opacity up, because you want to be able to see the picture that you put in it. So then you want to go to whatever pack. I'll link this pack and everything else that I use down in the description, so you guys can try it out yourselves. But um, it doesn't really matter what picture you pick. I like more abstract stuff and like stuff like this. So obviously I'm going to pick one of these. I'll just grab any of them just for tutorial purposes. But yeah, so you want to drag your picture that you're using. It doesn't matter really what the size is, because it's just going to go inside. But like if you wanted to make it smaller, you can always make it smaller just by going Control T, transform, and then just doing that. But yeah, so that about covers it for that part. If you want to do the little lines thing like I did here and up here, all you have to do is you click on that, you go, you hold Control and you click on the thumbnail, and then you want to go up to Select, Modify, Expand. I think 4 looks the best, because it's not too far out, but it's not like touching it. And then you want to click on that, and then you just want to add a stroke. I usually pick white. I put it on 2 pixels because I don't know, it looks the best. Center, inside, outside. I really just pick center because it looks the best, and then you press OK. Hold on. Alright, let me just redo that. So again, you go to Select, Modify, Expand, go by 4, and you add a stroke, and 2 pixels, white, and then you get that. And it's what it does basically is if I were to add another layer like that, do it like that. If I were to add another layer like that and do a stroke, the stroke would just be white. But the reason I like doing it like that is because it adds in that outer rim, and it also has the picture inside of it, which makes it look pretty cool, just in my opinion. So then you can just do it as many times as you want. I usually do this uh, maybe once or twice more, just because it looks good. You just want to do stroke. Whatever. I'll just leave it at one just so I can get this tutorial done. But then then after I have like the main shape down, I usually go to the text. Um, I usually like to use Nexa Bold. If I can find the download for that, I'll put it in the description. But it should be pretty easy to find yourself on the internet. And then you just type in the person's name. I'll just put Lutz and that and okay. So once you have, if this will actually work. Okay, once you have your text down and stuff, I mean, it doesn't really matter what text you have. The font, I mean, it's really up to you. Like I said, I like to use Nexa Bold, just because it looks pretty good for banners and stuff. But like I said, it's really up to you on what font you want to use. And the size, usually, it's better to have a bigger font size for this because um, the bigger the font size, I think the better it looks in the long run. And really, you can do anything with the text. A lot of people, I see them put textures over the text, just put a clippy mask texture over it, or add a layer style. Um, just for tutorial purposes, I think I'll just put a texture over it. So I'll put this pack in the description as well. I don't think it really matters what texture you put on it as long as it's a decent texture. You don't want to have a bad texture go over it because then it just doesn't look good, or as good as it could be. I mean, that looks okay. I'm probably going to add a drop shadow to it. And if you can't see the text, it's always okay to add a drop shadow. Drop shadow makes it pop a little bit more. Usually I put it up maybe about 60 or 70, maybe a little bit lower depending on what I'm doing. I lower the spread up some to about 9 or 10, and then I just make the size a bit bigger so it stands out more. Let's see here. I think 10 looks pretty good. And then to add some more lighting, to it if you want to have it like a bit brighter. A lot of the things I like to do is to make the text a bit brighter. I click on that and then I press Control T and I hold Shift and Alt and then I just drag it up so it like sort of covers it. I don't know how to explain it. Like covers the text, and then you get a nice little glow effect to the text. If you don't want it super bright though, I mean it's up to you. You can pick what you do with it. And then usually I go back below it and I just add some lighting for the back just to keep it all balanced and lighting. And then I just lower the opacity down to about 20 looks good. And then really if you wanted to, I don't know if this, I mean I don't really like this myself, but you can do that. I think I'll just leave it like that for the tutorial. But yeah, so if you want to add plants like I did with this one, if you want to add plants, basically you just get your pack that has plants in it or wherever you're getting your plants from. I get it from this pack because this pack has pretty good like flowers and stuff in it. But really any flower would do. Gosh, I'll just pick these. Then you just drag it in. And the best way to do it is to put it behind. I don't really like putting it at the bottom of the screen like that because it just looks weird. But yeah, you want to drag it behind the actual picture that you're doing it for. And if this will work. And then you just want to like make it smaller. Not too small, but you don't want it to be like super huge. And I'll just duplicate it by pressing Control J. Then you flip it vertically. If you want to do it like this, you can. I think this looks pretty good. And then you just put it on both sides, and then I usually merge the layers and then group it. And then I go to filter, and this makes it a bit better. I know a lot of people don't do this. Some people do, some people don't, but I think it looks a lot better when it's blurred out some and not completely there. I don't know, it just adds more depth to it, I guess. And yeah, so that about covers it for the plants and stuff. don't know what happened to my stroke theme here. Uh, Whatever, I'll leave it. So now to add texture, I usually get my textures from this pack just because it has the best textures in my opinion out of all my packs. And also, I don't like hassling around on Google to look for a texture. I think it's just easier if I have the texture in a pack, I can just use it. But usually, I lower it down to about 7 looks pretty good. You don't want it too bright because that just looks really weird if you have it like that. Um, but yeah, I lower it down to about a 7, and I usually drag it above the picture because I like having the texture on top of the I like having the texture on top of the circle and stuff. It just looks better that way. In my opinion, it makes it all blend and flow a little bit better. Then you can just keep dragging whatever stuff. I'm just gonna just grab a few textures just to get the texture part done with. But yeah, so you basically I just usually layer my textures. It looks pretty good for this style if you just layer things, and it usually works out in the end. So that's looking pretty good. And then usually for most of my stuff, I like to use this right here. I don't know what about it is. Like, I don't know why I like to use it. But this thing just looks really nice over headers and stuff. It sort of adds like a little like liquidy. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it just adds a little bit more to it than it already had. And then all right, so up next, now that we have like all the textures and stuff covered, I mean, it really depends on what you want to do with it from here. I like to add patterns just because I don't want to have just an empty space. So I'll just grab this, and I mean, it doesn't really matter where you put it. I usually put it underneath because it sort of looks weird when it's above the circle. But then you can just like do whatever you want with it. I usually lower the opacity, then I might like erase some of it like that. Maybe raise the opacity a little bit like that. And then, you know, it really just depends on what you want to do. You can get patterns from anywhere. You can make your own patterns. I make some of my own patterns sometimes. I mean, it really just depends on what your style is and how you want to do it, because the way it turns out is how you want it. So don't make something the way you don't want it, even if it looks okay. Make it the way you want it, because that's how it's gonna look the best. Alright, that looks pretty good. Put that at about 7, and then I usually duplicate some of my patterns, and then just simply flip them, and yeah, that looks okay. And I mean, from here on out, I mean, it's pretty much up to you. I like to do like circles or squares. Since this is circle, I'm just gonna stick with circles. But you can do stuff like gosh, what is it? You can do stuff like, hold on, what's going on here? Okay, so you can do stuff like circles. I usually make circles and then just duplicate it, and then drag it over, and duplicate it, and then drag it over. And I mean, it really just depends on you. You can even like make curves with it and stuff. But just for this tutorial, I'm just going to make it as simple as possible. Maybe lower that down a little bit. That looks okay, I guess. I mean, I can always go back and... Alright, so that looks okay. I'll also make this one a bit bigger than the rest of them, just so just adds that little bit of design to it. So, oops. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Okay, so usually I just merge them all together by doing Control E. So if you didn't see what I did there, I just clicked on that, and then I shift clicked all the way up to the top, and then press Control E, and that just merges them all together. And then what you want to do is you just duplicate it, and then you flip it like I've done with most of the stuff, and then you can even go vertical, so it's in different directions like that. And then you get that sort of like design shape look. And then to make it look a bit better, what I usually do is I duplicate this, drag it up, create clipping mask, and then I sort of just create a clipping mask over the actual shape itself, just because it sort of just matches the style, I guess. It looks better that way if you do it that way. Then I just press Control J again, drag it down, drag it over like that, and then mouse. I suggest if you want to get it in the right spot, it's really hard to like mess around with it while it's inside of this while it's inside of the circles itself. So the good way to do it is to figure out where the circles are, and then sort of just match up the spot you want it. So if I want it right there, I just go like that, and then create clipping mask, and then I'd get that little design right there. So that looks pretty good for that. If you even wanted to, you could group them all together, and then go to blending options, and then you can just add a drop shadow onto it to add like depth to it, I guess, like that. That looks okay. I think I'll leave it like that. But um, then it really is up to you from here as well. Like most of it is up to you. This is just stuff that I do because I like the way it looks. But another thing I do is if I want to like have like their name or something in the thing, like not their name, but like if they're like a leader of like a Call of Duty team or something, I usually make a bar about that thick by using this marquee tool, and then I go to the brushes and I make sure it's white, and then I go like that, and you want to make sure it's at the edges and everything. You don't want to make sure it's like not touching the edge, and then I just lower the opacity down. Um, God, it looks sort of weird. It really doesn't matter where you put it. I might not even use it for that, but if you want to add their name somewhere, you would just I usually go down to like a lower size. I usually put it at around like 14 or 12, and then you put like leader of void sanctuary, and then usually what I do just to make it look better is I go here, this little option right here, and then I just raise that up to spread the text out, and that usually turns out looking pretty nice. Um, yeah, so you could do that. And then to add more to the backing so it's not so blank, I usually go here and then I go maybe like a 30 size font. Then I go here and then I change this back to 0. And then I type in a name, so just have Lutz. And then I just duplicate it and I just spread it around the header just to add more to the backing so it's not so blank and bare, I guess. And then I group them. I'll just put Lutz backing, blah blah. And then I lower the opacity. And that sort of just adds like, I don't know, it sort of just adds like to the backing so it's not so blank. And then another thing I do is I go like L, and then lower the size down, put a U. Okay, 24. Okay, and then this is basically all you have to do for this part. I mean, you can really do it however you want. I'm just gonna go lowercase just to keep it simple. But yeah, so you just want to keep lowering and like raising the sizes of it. So like I'll put this up to 36. Lutz. And then you can either merge these like that, or by pressing Control E and shift clicking all of them, or you can press Control G to group them. And then I'll just name it Lutz, and then Control J, and then I drag that over here, and then it's just the same thing with the other thing. You just want to space it out. And really, if you wanted to, you could leave it like that. You don't have to lower the opacity, but I usually lower the opacity um, just because it looks better that way, I guess. So yeah, you could do that. And yeah, so then just to finish it off, I usually go up here and then I switch it to black, and then I grab this, and just to make sure it's like It's like the coloring and stuff, and like not coloring, but like the lights and stuff are even. I go like that, and then I just make it like that, and that usually ends up looking pretty good. So yeah, that about covers it. And then if you have like your own like personal logo, you can put it down here in the corner, um, to like, I don't know, just to show that you made it. And then usually what I do afterwards, I'm not going to do this for the tutorial just to, because it's just, this tutorial's already taken so long, but usually what I do is I go to filter. After I've saved it, I put it back in, go to filter, and then magic bullet looks. And if you don't have that, I can try to find like a tutorial on how to get it and then put the link in the description. But yeah, that sort of just adds more coloring to it. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I'm not the best commentator and my voice is really crappy. But yeah, if you guys learned anything from this, or you guys are happy that I did this tutorial on this header, then make sure to drop a comment and like down below. And if you guys want to see more tutorials like this, make sure to tweet at me and let me know what type of tutorials you want to see, because I can do stuff from this to like 3D, like the drip stuff, and just stuff like that. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been Zed Archers, or Archers, what you guys want to call me. Peace out.